So last time in the comment section down below, you guys asked me to talk about Seagull playing Pharah, and here we are with Seagull playing Pharah. And if you'd like me to talk about any character in the future, please leave a comment in the comment section down below, and whatever gets the most upvotes, I'll talk about next. Anyways, Seagull and Pharah. I feel like Pharah is in a super good place right now. Pharah Mercy is so strong, and especially, I'd say the lower elo you get, the stronger it gets, because there's no super good hit scans that are gonna two-shot headshot you every single time. Even when you get to the higher elos, as we're seeing in this game, you can't really always die with these characters. Fortunately, we die right there, but we just kind of got picked off from being a little bit out of the place. But yeah, it's a very good strategy, and honestly, it's probably one of the easier things to go for. I don't feel like Pharah is a super difficult character to play. Of course, it does take a lot of knowledge to know when to go in and when to go out. But if you play generally, somewhat safe with this character, with your Mercy, kind of closer to your backline, you can do quite well, and that's all I'm really going to say about it. I'd say Pharah is one of the best choices to play in this meta, especially since it's a pretty good counter against Junkrat, depending on how your team plays. Now, in this game, we have a little bit weird of a team comp. We don't have any super good tanks on our team, so often it seems like our team's just kind of getting rammed over again and again and again. And on this first point where it's so open, where everybody can just kind of maul us as Pharah, it's kind of hard. You do have to remember that Pharah is very good on open maps like this sometimes, but if they have a lot of hit scan like a McCree and a Soldier or a Tracer, it can be hard for you, and especially if your Mercy's not really staying next to you way too much, you kind of have to change up your gameplay. Seagull for this first round goes really aggro, and it's something that you can go for now, because, Pharah Mercy, you can go aggro, you can get picks, and even if you get taken out as Pharah, if you get a 1-for-1 on the enemy hit scan, you're probably going to win the team fight. But if our Mercy's not there, it's a little bit harder, especially on this type of map. As well on this type of map, since it's so open, you do have to remember that it's kind of harder to hit your shots as Pharah. Her shots just aren't like free things that you can hit. They're kind of hard to practice. And if you are trying to play her, I guess, maybe at far ranges, just go for the tanks. Go for the easy shots. Right there, we saw some amazing prediction shots. You kind of have to go for those as well. But, that's just kind of how this first round goes, and it doesn't work best for us, but I feel like we still do quite a bit as our character, even though our team comp is just kind of going all over the place and everybody's dying. Anyways, Seagull does this really cool thing that is not way too hard, that you guys should always do. Use your concussive blast as a movement ability. You see this every single time he comes out of spawn. You see this when he tries to save himself against the Junkrat, against the Zarya, against anybody. He often uses his E as an ability to escape, to get in, to finish off kills, and even sometimes uses a regular rocket jump, which is kind of funny. He does all of that instead of using it as an ability to just try to always catch people out. While it can couch people out, and while it can knock people off the cliffs, it's much more consistent in just simply getting a ton of movement for yourself. That's really free and easy to get, and right here we even get a pick. If our teammates would have gotten them, we could have gotten them ourselves. Unfortunately, again, our team is kind of getting picked off this round. We're getting out a lot of damage, though. We're putting out as much pressure as we can, and it's working kind of okay. One thing that I feel like we could do a bit better, I guess, is maybe be in the line of sight of the Mercy a bit more, or maybe have our Mercy actually follow us. This game, the Mercy's focusing on healing our team, which is fine, but while we are getting healed sometime, like right now, a lot of the time the Mercy's not really staying close to us. You can't really see where we are. She's not really being alive, and we can't really protect her. When you are playing Pharah, and Seagull is trying his best often to just trying to do damage and protect her, but if she runs away, it's kind of hard to stay on her. So as a Mercy player, maybe either ask your Pharah to play closer to your team so that you can heal everybody, or as a Pharah player, maybe tell your Mercy that you need more help, or maybe go next to your team so that she can heal everybody. Those are your main options, and I guess always just try to stay in her line of sight, because remember that you're essentially the #1 thing to keep the Mercy alive, just because of the amount of mobility you can give her. Again, right here, we use that concussive blast, get out of spawn, do whatever. As far as, I guess, aiming, it's an important thing to do as Pharah, and kind of hard to do as her. What you want to do is to try to shoot where people are moving to, or where you can kind of guess they're moving to. As you see right here, we get a really good shot right there. We just kind of guess where they're going. Unfortunately, our ultimate doesn't pick that person off. One thing about the ultimate is that it actually almost does an instant 200 damage. So you can often kill somebody if you even just go 1-for-1, especially if you get the Mercy. It can be fine. Fortunately, we didn't get one right there, but it can often happen. It does like 200 damage within the first 1 second, and then does a lot more damage after that. But that's a cool fact. But yeah, as far as aiming goes, just try to shoot where people are. Right there, we also got something great, which was that we went 1-for-1 for the enemy McCree, I think. But after we killed the enemy McCree, the enemy team had nothing to do with us. So we could take him out, we could push up, we won that team fight, and it all worked fine for ourselves. Keep that in mind. If you can go 1-for-1 for the enemy hit scan and they have nothing else to take you out, you've essentially won the team fight. While I guess if they kill you, it's not the best for yourself, but whatever. You still got at least one res. You can try your best. There is a Winston in this game, which is kind of annoying to deal with. With some of the other characters, you can spam them out a little bit more. I feel like with Reinhardt especially, you know, you can go around him, go above him, spam him out, hit him out of position a bit more with your concussive blast. It does okay here, but obviously it's not the #1 thing that we want to face against. I guess you can't really kill us though, so there's that. But often, one thing you might want to keep in mind as Pharah is that while you might be very safe as this character, you kind of got to get in there often to get kills and to finish people off. Because if you're at far range, while you can deal a decent amount of damage, mainly to the tanks, most of it's going to be healed off unless you can get in there and finish people off again. And a lot of the other DPS, like Reaper, or even sometimes Soldier, or sometimes Doomfist, or any of those characters might be able to get out a few more frags than you because they're much closer up, because, you know, they can get a lot more of their consistent damage out. So, you know, you just kind of have to change the way you're playing at least a little bit. Now, Seagull moves on to the second map, and I feel like his team does a ton better here. They push up better, their team comp just works out better, and I feel like this map's really just great for this character because you can get some frags like we saw right there because it's so close, but it's still open enough that you aren't going to be like stuck in corridors. So, I don't know, I feel like it's one of those, you know, perfect situations for Pharah, and you want to kind of play her in maps like that. I feel like you can play her in almost any match just because how strong she is right now, but, you know, there's that can also help you with, you know, if you want to play in certain maps. Earlier we actually saw ourselves get a pick on the Mercy. It doesn't happen way too often, and I wouldn't say, you know, put in all your effort to kill the enemy Mercy because you're probably not going to get away too much with air shots. But if you know a pattern of certain characters like Mercy, like, you know, she's probably just going to be flying straight forward at a certain speed. If you can happen to learn those, you can often kill people as Pharah much better than you think you really could. Right there was an amazing boop on that Reinhardt. Unfortunately, we don't get anything off of it. But yeah, you can kind of just guess where people are going to walk. Right there again with the McCree, we just kind of guess where he was going to walk. But I guess you could call it an educated guess. And again, right there with the Mercy, we could pretty much just know where she was going to fly to and kill her there. So, you know, it's a pattern that you can figure out, and a pattern that can definitely make so your accuracy is going to go up quite a bit instead of just shooting to where they are right now, which doesn't always work. Right now we also do have kind of weird team comp. We have triple DPS, I think, with a Symmetra. Maybe she switched, but we had her at least at the beginning. Remember, though, that you often can carry most team comps. Even if you don't have way too many tanks, it's going to be hard because people aren't going to be, you know, just tanking for a while and kind of giving you time to harass the enemy backline. But if you play safe and go for picks sometimes around corners like we see up here, you know, you can go for it. You can often win the game, and just with the power of Pharah right now, you can do okay. Right here we're trying to face off on the enemy McCree. We see that we probably won't be able to finish him off. He's too far away. It's a bit risky for us. So, of course, we use that E again to fly away, get ourselves safe. Again, we try to go for the Mercy. Unfortunately, I think we hit her, but we don't quite kill her. But our team finishes off, you know, it's not bad. It works out fine for us. And then, finally, Seagull just finished off this Anna in the backline. So, you know, his team's doing really quite well on this map compared to the last map, which is great. So, we also see this game that the enemy team switched to a Reinhardt instead of something like a Winston. I feel like this is actually great if you're playing Pharah, and we see Seagull just kind of ponying this. The enemy can't really just hide behind their backline all the time, especially on maps like this where you can go behind them, because you can just kind of shoot people in the backline while, of course, you know, your guy can't really protect them way too much. The Reinhardt's just kind of stuck not protecting them, so that's nice for you. And we see a final switch to Winston again from the enemies, but it's a little bit too late, I think, right here. Maybe not. Maybe they get it back for a second, but still, it works okay. Actually, they're going Reinhardt Winston, which, you know, I guess it works okay against you. Shields are pretty good against you, but again, if you can get picks in the back line, it essentially just negates a lot of the shield damage and makes you don't really have to focus on getting shield damage quite as much. Now, I guess something else to mention this game is that they also did switch to a Widow, which you would think would normally just completely pwn Pharah. But if you stand around corners, you stand around edges, and you just kind of use your concussive blast to get in, you can often force her out of good positions and maybe pick her like we saw right there with Seagull, or, you know, just at least make so she doesn't pick you all the time. Even if you do get picked, though, often if you can, you know, use your concussive blast to get close to the enemy Widowmaker, and then you get rezzed, then you can kill her. So you can get more free damage, you can get more free picks and whatever. And if again, you can pick the enemy hit scan, you can probably win the team fight. That's generally how it goes with this character. And I guess the thing you want to remember is that often people are going to be focusing your Mercy before you, so you can go a little bit more ham than you probably think you would, because people shouldn't really be focusing you first before the Mercy, because, you know, if they do focus you before the Mercy, you're just going to get healed up. So kind of think about it like that when you're playing this character. We're right there trying to pick off the enemy Mercy. Unfortunately, don't get it. Our team got picked off again on this first point. A little bit unfortunate for us. They went Orisa, which I feel like is actually a pretty good pick against this character. You can still spam her out, obviously, But compared to Reinhardt, you know, she can at least pull you down a little bit, maybe pick you off with that. You know, it works okay with Junkrat because you can go for his mine into her alternate fire. And as well with that, you know, she has the shield that's a bit more circular, so it can kind of make so you can't hit as much stuff. Not the best pick, but still, I'd say it does actually quite well against this character. Probably one of the best things to actually do against Pharah is to go triple DPS. At least that's what we're seeing in a lot of esports games, because it's kind of hard as tanks to deal with her. Because, again, you think normally, you know, McCree just hide behind the shield and go for the Pharah. But if you are the Pharah player and you're just never going after the McCree behind the shield and you're going for all these other characters all over the map, that's not going to really counter you way too much. So I guess that's kind of how you want to just play with this character, and just kind of how you want to think with this character as well. During this map, we also do see, I think earlier in the games we see, that Seagull goes for a lot of 1v1s and gets a lot of 1-for-1 trades. But before he does that, he often gets a lot of back row damage. So even though he is going 1-for-1, his team usually has a decent amount of an advantage, and you know, they should be able to win the team fight. Doesn't mean that they always will be able to win the team fight, and that's something you might want to keep in mind. You know, you can't win every single team fight. Your team might just not do the best one game, but it's an okay idea. And especially if it puts your team at an advantage, at least they'll have a good chance of winning. Right there, we saw one of the only times Junkrat can kill you in closed doors. We just wanted to finish off that kill, so that's where we went right there. But generally, you almost never want to go there. Because, you know, it's one of the only ways he can actually kill you. Other than, I guess, again, something like an Orisa pulling you down a bit. As far as, you know, team comps on our own team, you probably want 2 tanks, you probably want maybe 2 supports, you know, whatever. But as well, I think it's a good idea to often have a hit gun on your team, because you can try to take out the enemy Mercy, you can often try to get a lot of front row damage, and I don't know, I feel like hit scan is just one of those things that you kind of need this meta, because all the characters that are in it. So maybe, you know, a support soldier might work pretty well with you, and then a tracer and something like that. If you can try to get one of those on your team, I feel like they do synergize really well with this character. Maybe not like a duo Q worth synergization or whatever, I don't know. But, you know, it's okay. Something you might want to try to put a little bit of effort into going for. When we're looking at team fights here, what you might want to keep in mind is that we're often not really going into the team fights without our tanks going in. We're often going in by ourselves to try to get 1v1 picks and stuff out on the side and get out free poke, that's obvious. But actual team fights, we kind of wait for the tanks a little bit, because if the enemy team's all ready for there and your team is, you know, just a little bit behind you, you're just going to kind of instantly die if the enemy hit scan can play really well. Especially depending on where you're positioned. I know that you think that you can fly, you think you're never going to die, but you do have to kind of think about, you know, you still do die, obviously. As well with that, a way to kind of, you know, protect yourself a little bit is to maybe fly next to walls, because that makes it that you don't get one shot by the Widowmaker, makes you don't get 2 shot by people like, you know, I guess the soldier with the right click and the left click, or with the McCree. There's a lot of stuff you can do that just kills you from the enemy standpoint, so you do want to stay next to walls, I guess, if you can. You don't always have to, but, you know, it's a good idea to try to play a little bit safer there, especially if you're down a man or 2. Right there, we're trying to boot that guy into the hole, you know, doing whatever we can. We're pushing up. This game, we're getting a lot more healing from the Mercy, so we can play a lot more offensive. Again, we get a bit closer to try to finish off that Junkrat. Doesn't quite go well for us, but we do force him back, so it's almost as good as getting kill itself. And then he has to go back, wait for his team. He doesn't get a pick on us, so, you know, it all in the end works out pretty well. I guess a thing that kind of happens this game is that the Mercy on our team does kill herself a few times, but what you want to probably do is just ask her to often, you know, stay closer to you, stay closer to your team, as I was saying earlier, and that's all you can really do. Don't rage at your Mercy, though, because she's just gonna not want to heal you if you rage at her. Try to keep her on your bright side, otherwise it can be kind of a problem, and you won't be able to get those reses. But if you can keep her up, if you can just keep going in, you know, it's going to be a good time for you, and you're honestly going to be able to carry a ton of games, and that's just kind of how it goes on this. I guess some of the final tips: if the enemy has, you know, nothing to kill but you, obviously they're going to kill you, so don't go in by yourself. I know you can fly, but don't do that. And finally, when you're facing people that can't really kill you way too much, you know, with ease, like a Zarya or something, what you kind of want to do is to move in and out a little bit, saving a bit of fuel, and getting closer and then further and then closer and then further, and then of course using your concussive mine if you have to get away, because that just allows you to be very accurate with your damage, be able to charge a lot of ult, and be able to get some kills. So there you go, as far as I saw, you know, Seagull doing that. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you learned anything, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below what you want me to talk about in the future, what character, what player, anything like that. As always, guys, if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day. I'd like to thank Gilded.gg for sponsoring this video and mainly helping me a lot through the adpocalypse. So, Gilded itself is a website focused on finding, founding, and expanding your gaming team with relative ease. You can schedule events, recruit new members, build team comps, and find teams to scrim with and to scrim against. Best of all to you guys, it's free. You can get started yourself with the link in the description below, and if you sign up by November 10th, you'll be entered into a chance to win a $50 Blizzard gift card. So, maybe I'll see you there.